Arms Room Radio is on the air. Now, here's Mike.
All right, welcome back to Arms Room Radio. Yep, we're back. We got sound effects this week. We're dangerous.
Oh, boy.
Sitting with me, as always, my right-hand man, the man on my right. See, right-hand man on my right, is the great-grandson of Daniel Boone. His name is Earl.
Thank you.
Earl, what do we got going out at the shop this weekend?
This weekend, Mike, we've got a sale going on all used firearms at the shop. Some of the stuff that we have out there, we have some car arms, Beretta, Dan Wesson, SIG, H&K, Peril Ordnance, Smith & Wesson, EAA, Colt, Charter Arms, Bond Arms, and FN. Minimum 10% off. And if you beat the guys up a little bit, they'll probably give you a little more. Yeah,
those guys out there, they like to give away the shop when we're not around, that's for sure. How do they get there, Earl?
We are at 19048 East Colonial Drive, Orlando, Florida, 32820. That's out near the Buffalo Raceway.
Buffalo Raceway? Yeah. That's out east, but it sounds like it's worth the drive from what you're telling me.
Yes, it is.
It's way out there, folks. It's way on the east side. It's nice. It's a big place, big location. Who we got? What crew we got working out there this weekend?
This weekend, we've got two fine examples of Uncle Sam's misguided children. We've got Connor and Tim, and keeping up your brothers in green, we've got Matt out there.
So we got two Marines and one Army.
Yep.
All right, so what we're saying...
I think it'll be an even match.
Yeah, what we're saying is talk slow when you're out there. Use small words.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. Oh, there's also one of our senior staff members. She's out there this weekend, too.
Oh, she is?
She did. She came to work today.
Wow.
Yeah, so when you're out there, say hi to Nina. Don't forget to say hello to her. And we welcome her back. Also joining us today, the courtroom assassin, the legal ninja himself, Kevin Maxwell.
Nice to be here, Mike.
It's great for you to be here with us, having fun. We're still getting used to them, okay? We're still getting used to the sound effects.
I appreciate the accolades.
Okay,
really do.
okay. All right. How's your week been, Kevin?
We've been busy. With 41P about to be implemented in June, assuming the ATF is still going to do that, we have been processing a great many trust documents.
That sounds like it's picking up for you now.
It's picking up for the people who want to get a chance to get a National Firearms Act trust in time before they implement the executive order.
Right. Excellent. Good. Glad they're giving you a call. Folks, don't forget to give us a call. 407-682-9595. 407-682-9595. Or you can Twitter us at
Arms Room Radio.
At Arms Room Radio. Give us a tweet at Arms Room Radio. Hit us up on Facebook at facebook.com/armsroom, or call us right here. We'll put you on the air. 407-682-9595. Also joining us this week, we're welcoming him back. He was on a furlough last week. We decided it was all right to have him come back in. Took your survey results and computated them out, and we welcome back Alex Farrar from Veritas International.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me back. The peanut gallery.
Sound effects, folks. They're wonderful. How was your week, Alex? Anything fun going on? I heard you went shooting this week.
Yeah, I actually went down and had a client, took him out, did some rounds, practice one-on-one training. It's pretty good.
Oh, it's the best kind. How's the range? Just to tell me, I don't want to know where. Just tell me about the range you guys use.
It's a nice place out about 2 hours from here. We got about 100 acres available to us. Two nice berms, a little small survival city. So we got about 100 yards in one section, and as far out as 500 yards. So a little bit of practicing for just about anything.
It's always nice. Nice when you could find a nice range, or you could do what you want to do on it safely, obviously. But
of course.
Complete the training you want, or just have some good old-fashioned fun.
Yep.
407-682-9595. 407-682-9595. That's how you reach us here at the shop. Alex, how can they reach you during the week?
They can reach us at 407-777-0447 or at oneveritas.com. That's oneveritas.com.
And folks, that's Veritas International. Alex is owner, Protective Services company. They performs executive protection, events and school security, property protection. They do confidential and private investigations, which includes corporate and domestic cases, due diligence, background investigations, and they do the surveillance, counter surveillance with those investigations. And then a big part of their corporation, one of the big reasons Alex is here with us, is the training. Every kind of training, basic handgun safety, concealed carry courses, women's handgun courses. You name it, it looks like Alex has got it on here. Active shooter courses. Pretty much anything you could probably customize and tailor that a client would need.
Correct. And we can custom tailor to the person's needs, whether it be a business or an individual.
Wonderful. Sounds good. Glad to have you here.
Thanks.
Now, with the guys at the store,
Yes.
you think they're listening?
Probably not.
You think if I say the first one of the guys at the store that calls in will get a bonus today? You think they'd call in?
That they might do.
I don't know if they're listening.
They do.
I don't know if
Listen
they're
next week for sure.
You know why I don't think they're listening? Because I told them we were going to be here and not there. So I think they're, if I brought up the cameras right now, it's probably like a party with a donkey running through.
I did see the grill getting fired up yesterday.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
cleaned it out.
I think that's probably what's going on there. 407-682-9595. Let's see if one of those guys can call in. I'll give them a free prize.
You have a camera on a trampoline?
I do have a camera on a trampoline because for not the reasons you think, though. Because it's in the back in the warehouse, and I want to be able to make sure my daughter is there and she's okay. More sound effects, folks. We love them. All right, one of the things we want to start off talking about this week before we get too deep into the topic is our New York rifles. If you hadn't heard, the Arms Room brought out a new New York compliant rifles. We call them occupied zone rifles because I don't know if you've been watching the news, folks, over the past year, but you get north of the Mason-Dixon line and they're coming up with some ridiculous gun laws up there. Anything that was fine a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, and you're lucky if you're not a felon anymore up there. We have I had a gentleman this week play soccer with my daughter. He came over and asked. He said he's going to be traveling through the Northeast. They're going RVing. They're going to be doing some sightseeing, and he wanted to know if he could take his personally owned handgun with him on vacation in the RV. And I told him, I said, well, sure, you're fine as long as you don't go through Washington, D.C., New Jersey, New York City, Long Island, or Boston. Massachusetts, probably Connecticut.
Or North and South Carolina, North Carolina. You're good.
And he laughed, and I said, no, I'm being serious.
Once you cross the Florida state line, all bets are off.
The law changed in Georgia recently. So in Georgia, we've got some good rules and some good laws going on. Once you leave Florida, you're kind of on your own. He's going on vacation, and they're going to see the sights. They're going to D.C. They're going to New York. They're going to Boston. They're going to see the things you do.
Yeah, no.
And he said, well, I could just keep it in the vehicle. Really, really nobody's going to know. And he's a public servant down here like the rest of us. And I said, that's fine, except if you're going into D.C. or if you're going into New York, there's checkpoints at the border, I want to say border, because it's the occupied zone. Yeah. But there's checkpoints at the tunnels and the bridges.
And they'll search your vehicle.
They will search. And, I'm sorry, sir, what's this locked container in here? That's my locked container. Get a lawyer, And we'll get into that in a little bit. But, it's the nature of it right now. And when we joke and we say occupied zone, it's occupied zone. The laws in New York, and this is, for a whole other, segment, we could do this, but the laws in New York are such that I can't have a bayonet lug on my rifle. Earl, how long have you owned ARs?
I've owned ARs for going on 10 years now.
Okay. Did you ever once think, man, if I had a bayonet, I'd go on a killing spree?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No.
I'm just saying. You can't have a collapsible stock. Earl, did you ever say to yourself, well, I'll tell you what, that guy in front of me in traffic, he's lucky I don't have a collapsible stock because we'd be going down right now. No, it's just, it's ridiculous. Anyway, folks, we do a whole line of rifles now that are compliant up in the occupied zone. And yet they're still functional. They're still ARs. Did you know the New York law actually says, the New York SAFE Act actually says that New York rifles have can have no grenade launchers.
They cannot.
Grenade launchers.
Wow.
In the state law, they've gone out and said you can't have a grenade launcher on your gun. Not a 37 millimeter flare launcher, which is what a lot of people do just for the tactical look. Mm-hmm. But they actually say no grenade launchers.
I know they were for sales, though.
Well, yeah, evidently you could just go buy. This is probably from what Kevin was talking about a while ago. This is one of those things you could go buy and use a trust and not have to get a background check on.
Yeah, you could get an M203 grenade launcher. The only problem is you can't buy grenades.
Right.
and if you could, you and who sold them to you would go to prison for a very, very long time.
Exactly right. 407-682-9595. And at Arms Room Radio is our tweets. At Arms Room Radio, 407-682-9595. Has anybody called in from the shop yet? Nobody from the shop.
Nope.
Those guys don't want to race. I'm talking about free money. All they have to do is call in.
You want to get a call in?
Is it nap time, maybe?
Yeah, it probably is.
Put a shout out to the first wife of any of the people here call. They get a bonus. I bet you our phones will start ringing.
I know for a fact, last week, my wife, who I told you was listening,
she didn't listen.
She was not. Yeah, she was not. So she's probably doing the same thing right now. Oh, don't worry, dear. I'm going to listen in. And knowing that I'm not home, she's got a glass of wine, kick back with her feet up,
Housewives or somewhere must be on.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly right. All right, when we come back, we're going to sit down. We're going to have a serious discussion with Kevin and with Alex about defensive shootings. The first 15 minutes from both the civilian standpoint and the law enforcement standpoint, what to do at a defensive shooting.
And more importantly, what not to do. Exactly,
and what not to do. Our phone number, 407-682-9595, 407-682-9595. We look forward to your questions. We look forward to you coming back with us, and we look forward to a great show today. Alex.
Sir.
Tell us about a special you got running this week out at your shop.
Actually, this week we'll actually do it for the whole month of rest of the month and month of May. 15% off any of our courses that we have online. Just mention Arms Room Radio when you talk to us or email us.
Wonderful. Hear that, folks? Alex is giving you 15% off all training. Just mention the Arms Room Radio. And listen, he does custom training. One of the great things that's out there right now, you could teach defensive shooting. You can teach how to react to the bad guy. Alex will actually set up training to come to your house and show you how to defend your own house rather than having to come to a training facility or a store and go to a generic place. Actual hands-on training, bring your neighbors, whatever, to walk you through how to defend your own house. What's the best room to defend? What's the best avenues of approach? What's the best avenues of departure?
A better training place than your own home.
Exactly. We just want to remind you we've got the Claremont Gun Show coming up. Claremont Gun Show is June 28th and 29th. June 28th and 29th. It's at the Mineola Recreation Center, right there at the Mineola Claremont border. Over 100 tables, $5 entry, free parking. It's a wonderful place. Yes, and if my wife is listening this week, that's June 28th and 29th. That's our anniversary weekend. I understand we have our first caller. Mick, can we go ahead and get our first caller pumped up here? Okay, you got to turn your radio off. Caller, you got to turn your radio off. Hello. Can I get you to turn your radio off, dear?
Oh, you have to turn the radio off.
That's all right. What can we do for you today?
Oh, I was just calling in as the first wife. It's my shout-out for Legal Ninja Team.
Legal Ninja first wife. Excellent. Kevin, what do we have for her today?
We're going to get her a Pandora bead.
Pandora bead.
Thank goodness. Yes, I get a new Pandora bead.
Excellent. We got a Pandora bead.
I'll be ready to shop this afternoon.
Shopping is wonderful. Well, we do appreciate you calling. Is there any breaking news you want to give Kevin, just in case?
No breaking news.
Nothing you needed witnesses for?
No.
Nothing? All right. Well, wonderful. Well, we definitely appreciate you calling in.
Thank you. Y'all are doing a great job.
Thank you. Wonderful. All right. There's our first caller.
Now I can prove mine enlists and yours doesn't.
we know that to be true. All right, folks. 407-682-9595. 407-682-9595. Kevin, seriously, we call you the Legal Ninja because I've yet to see something you couldn't do. I know you've got your partner here with you, the samurai sidekick. Alec Weber's in the studio with us, also helping you out with today's program. What are we looking at today? What do we want to discuss here?
What we're going to try to present to everybody, and basically, Alex and I are going to act as each other's foils, and we're going to try to show our listeners what they can expect to have happen if they are involved in a defensive shooting, both from a legal point of view and from what they can expect to have in the way of an interaction with law enforcement. Because law enforcement's going to show up. And how you respond to law enforcement is going to go a long way in making the determination of whether or not you're prosecuted for having defended yourself.
Okay. You're going to give us the attorney's point of view, the legal aspect, what to do during this first 15 minutes. Alex will be the responding officer of authority. He'll give you policy procedure based on his history and everything. We'll be able to play this back and forth and figure out what to do and what to expect.
Exactly.
Wonderful. I notice we have another caller, Johnson, on the line. Johnson, yep. Are you there?
I'm here.
Are you there? How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
We're doing wonderful. What can we do for you today?
Well, I heard somebody talking about raises for the first employee to call in, so I figured I better get on the phone.
Is he actually working?
No, he's not working. Well, it actually sounds like the Marines in the background there with him. So,
wow.
He's off today enjoying some time with his family. But we do appreciate the call.
Hey, no worries. You guys are doing a great show.
Thanks. We'll see you on Monday. Bill's also on the line. Let's go ahead and knock Bill out before we get into the content.
Yeah, I'll be real quick. Y'all were talking about traveling around the country with your weapon.
Yes, sir.
There's an excellent book that is advertised every month in my NRA magazine called The Traveler's Guide to the Firearms Laws of the 50 States. It costs like $12.95 postpaid, updated every year by an attorney in Kentucky, and it will tell you everything you need to do to be legal. You'll be surprised how you can be legal in some of these, these, as you call the northern states you referred to.
Exactly. Give us the name of that book again, Bill. Give us the name of that book again.
The Traveler's Guide to the Firearms Laws of the 50 States. Again, it's a half-page ad every month in the NRA magazine, the one I get, the glossy one.
Excellent.
First Freedom or something like that. I'm sure it's in a lot of the... But you could get it online too, I'm sure, and it's $12.95 postpaid. And with that book and the knowledge it gives you, when you're talking to a cop on the side of the road, you can tell him, "Of course, I'm armed. So what? Because you know the law."
Yeah, we're going to get into that here with our own attorney on how to speak to the police and how to talk to the police. But we definitely appreciate you calling, Bill. And the book again,
right, thank you,
is The Traveler's Guide to Firearms. Bill, appreciate your call and look forward to you calling back. Kevin?
That is an excellent publication. I have that in my library.
Right.
The problem you're going to run into is that book's got a lag.
Yeah, you can't print the way they pass laws these days. It's so hard.
What you're going to find out and as he described it, when you're on the side of the road with a law enforcement officer, and I think Alex can probably address this as well. If you're having the discussion, yeah, I've got a firearm, so what? Plan not to get to keep it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're probably going to get taken to custody. You're definitely going to have your firearms seized. If you're rolling through Washington, D.C. with a firearm, you can't have any.
Right.
You're not a resident of D.C., don't plan on being able to get a pass. Maryland's got one of the strictest gun laws in the world. It's the only state in the union right now that still requires that you submit 2 spent cartridge casings as part of the concealed weapons permit for that firearm to be owned by you in that state. So that they can have a fingerprint, if you will.
I missed that in the Second Amendment.
Of the firing pin strike for cartridges that come from your firearm.
Excellent. Wow. Let's get into Florida before we get into the break. Let's get into self-defense here in Florida. We're gonna take the rest of the show and we're gonna discuss this. Let's give it a start, Kevin.
We're going to start with 2 possibilities.
Okay.
First, you heard a bang outside your house. You saw something about to happen, and you're on the phone with 911.
Okay. Scenario 1, I've got a reason to be concerned, and I'm on 911.
The other possibility is that whatever has happened struck you by complete surprise. You reacted to that surprise, and you haven't yet called 911.
Okay. So we've got 911 and not 911.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and take us through it.
If you're on the phone and you've got 911 on call, what you want to make sure of is that you describe what's happening and why you need law enforcement. Someone's trying to break into my house. Someone's following me in my car. They're threatening to cut me off in traffic. They keep signaling for me to pull over. Get that information out to the 911 operator. If you can give them the tag number of the car, if you can see what that person looks like outside your house, describe what your assailant looks at. Your house location, your name, who else is in your household with you, so that when law enforcement arrives at the scene, they know who it is they're looking to protect and who it is they're looking to take into custody. Never tell a 911 operator, I have a gun and I'm going to shoot this guy if he doesn't stop. That's a bad plan from the beginning.
Sure.
That call is being recorded. It can be invaluable to you later. So my advice to anyone that's involved in a defensive shooting is, as soon as is practical, get a copy of that 911 tape. It may or may not be used. If you don't get criminally charged, you may never have access to that 911 tape as part of the discovery process in your criminal case. But you're not finished defending yourself.
Correct.
Because that person is going to have a family member. They're going to have someone that's going to go advocate for them, and you're going to have to deal with the possible civil consequences. That 911 tape may not exist after a month, a year, 2 years, when you finally have to have a copy of it to prove what you actually said. It's gone.
Okay. So when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about scenario 1. I hear noises. I grab the phone. I call 911. And what do I do then? Kevin, how can everybody get a hold of you during the week?
They can reach us at maxlaworlando.com. They can reach us on our phones at 407-467-4960, or they can reach us on Facebook.com at Downtown Attorneys.
Okay. Again, that's maxlaworlando.com.
It is.
The phone number is?
407-467-4960.
That's the Legal Ninja and his Samurai sidekick, Kevin Maxwell and Alec Weber. They'll be back after the break.
Call the Arms Room Radio hotline right now. 407-682-9595. 407-682-9595. Arms Room Radio is on the air. Welcome back to the show.
AM 660. The Answer.
Now, here's Mike.
All right, we're back. Hey, everybody. That was Seal Coat Florida, one of our sponsors here. Seal Coat Florida, 321-385-SCFL. 321-385-SCFL. You own a business and you got a parking lot and you can see at one point there might have been some lines there. Give these guys a call. If you got cracks and then the blacktop is starting to look horrible, give these guys a call. Ask for Remington. He will take care of you. This is a great company, great people, and great supporters of the show and the Second Amendment. Kevin, I hear some knocking outside, or I hear some pounding. I hear some glass breaking. I hear somebody prying in out of my door outside. I'm laying in my bed, and I've just woken up. Take us through your scenario.
All right, well, you've called 911. You have the 911 operator on the phone. You've described yourself. You've described your home. You've described the other people that are in your home and why you are afraid, because you want to make sure that you've created a record of why you believe you had to use force if this continues. And now, this is my opinion, and Alex is going to talk about his opinions. And other lawyers or other law enforcement officers may have different opinions about what you should or shouldn't do when these things happen. I want to put that out there because I've been thinking about this for, 2 decades, worried about what you would... No, not long at all.
It's just a little bit.
Well, I've studied repeated shooting incidents. I've followed trials about shooting incidents. And I will tell you that if you stick to the formula that we're about to present today, the likelihood is greater that you will not suffer an ill consequence as a result of the abuse of the legal system rather than just what it is you had to deal with. All right, so you've called 911. You've tried to make sure that you have warned this person that the police are on the way. That they're frightening you. You have your children, you have your wife, you have your family inside. You have tried to take whatever steps you can to make them stop whatever it is they're doing, and that didn't work. And now they've broken into your house, or they've confronted you in your driveway as you're getting out of your car. They've forced your car off the road. Whatever the circumstances are where you were able to notify law enforcement through a 911 call, you have a need for their assistance.
Okay. The threat occurs, and you get 911 as your emergency, police, fire, and medical.
Right. And you ask for the police. No shots have been fired.
Okay.
And you've got them on the line. Do not tell the law enforcement tape recording what it is you're going to do if X, Y, or Z happens. The what-if game that we've talked about on the show before should have been played in your head a long time ago. You don't have to repeat what it is you're going to do. Know what your steps are going to be. Have played the what-if game in your own mind before this happens. If you're going to carry a firearm, you need to know what you're going to do under a given set of circumstances.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you shouldn't be, Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, you shouldn't be carrying a gun if you don't know if you could pull the trigger and go through on your training.
Correct. If you're not prepared to pull that trigger to save your life or life of another,
get a baseball
bat and get a life insurance policy.
Okay.
And I think you give that speech in your classes almost every time.
Correct.
All right, so everything's gone wrong that can go wrong, and you have discharged your weapon and stopped this assailant. The steps that are going to take place next are going to have a long-term consequence. All right, just because the person that was attacking you is now on the ground and has discontinued that behavior, that doesn't mean you're finished defending yourself. Actually, the efforts you may have to take from here forth may be even greater than the ones that were necessary to discharge that weapon. You need to start making assessments, and you've got to think about these things before you get to the point where you've had to pull the trigger, right? If you're going to carry a firearm, you need to carry a first aid kit. The likelihood is in your lifetime you'll use a first aid kit probably 10 times more than you'll ever use the firearm.
Correct.
Can you safely render any first aid to the person that you've just had to shoot? If you can, you should. Safely. If they're not going to stop being aggressive towards you, if they're not alone and you still have other people that may try to assault you if you try to render them aid, don't render them aid if you can't do so safely. But don't interfere with someone else trying to render them aid, right? If you've got somebody else in your household who can help them without putting themselves at risk, while you keep yourself and the rest of your family safe from whatever co-assailants may be available, then do that. If you're out in public and somebody walks up and wants to help them, don't muzzle them. Don't go this tactical 360 where you're basically threatening everybody in your immediate area because you don't know who else is going to attack you. But don't stop someone else from rendering their aid. There's some statistics out there that suggest that about 85% of any persons wounded with a firearm survive. Might be better for him not to die. Okay? There's a lot of psychological impacts that go along with that. And it's important, quite honestly, to state attorneys to look at to see whether or not you tried to render him assistance after he stopped his aggression. Tell 911. I need police and ambulance. He continued to attack us. I've had to shoot him. And what you're going to get is you're going to get a question from the 911 operator. All right, and I'm going to put this to someone who isn't a professional, hasn't got any law enforcement experience. Earl, describe the victim.
Currently, I'm about 6'2". I have a long gray and black beard.
Mostly gray.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
And
Thanks.
Absolutely not a hair on his head. Okay.
No.
When they
shaven.
ask you for the victim, you tell them your own description. Don't get misled into trying to describe the person who's laying on the ground with a gunshot wound. You're the victim. They're the assailant. Right?
Mick, let's see what Dave has to say. Dave, we got a caller on the line.
Yeah.
What can we do for you, Dave?
Got a quick question. If I was in one of these situations and I went down in the middle of some type of altercation and my underage son or daughter who's gone shooting and knows how to handle themselves obtained my weapon, would there be any additional repercussions if the child took care of the intruder?
So, I'll make sure I understand your question. You're not home.
No, I am home.
Okay, you're home.
We have this altercation, but you have the child laws with pistols around underage children. But if the child were to obtain the weapon and defend us successfully, you think there could be any additional repercussions, or it wouldn't make a difference?
The likelihood is that the most you'd be looking at is the child might be charged if it's not a justifiable shooting, and then the parent might be charged with failure to secure and maintain that firearm. But again, the same set of circumstances applies to the child defending your home. And I don't think we're talking about a 6 or 7 year old. I mean, if we're talking about a child that has had sufficient firearms training to know how to use a firearm, and
teenage, 12, 13.
I would think that they're going to try to interview that child without you present. Don't let them. Don't let the child give a police statement without a lawyer present. Do the same things for your child as you would do for yourself. Call 911. Offer aid if you can assist. If you can provide it safely. Identify you're the victim and that your child was a potential victim. Make sure that law enforcement knows who you are as soon as they arrive. We called you. In this particular case, we called you, you and your child. We will press charges. We need to see a doctor. I want my child to see a doctor right now. And don't let anyone interview your child, including the medical professionals, while law enforcement's present. With all deference to the law enforcement in the room, I have more than once seen the law enforcement have the doctors, the nurses, or the EMTs ask questions and get that person to answer them and then listen to the answer and use that later as an exception to hearsay. Well, I overheard the defendant now say this to the doctors, the nurses, or the EMTs. I've actually even seen where the officer will ask the EMT to ask a question, and the EMT will ask the question, and Miranda doesn't apply.
Okay.
But treat your child as an extension of yourself for the purposes of invoking your rights to have counsel present, because that's one of the things we're going to get to is the last thing out of your mouth before you shut up is, I will give you a statement as soon as I have a chance to calm down, assess my own physical injuries, if any, and speak to an attorney. Now, I'm going to ask Mike this question, and I'm going to Alex this question.
And Dave, thanks for calling in. Excellent call.
Thanks. All right.
You both decades in law enforcement. Do you have to give a statement to law enforcement if you're involved in a police shooting within the first 24 hours?
No. You give them a brief statement of what happened, and then you can have your representative, whether a union or an attorney, present to give the rest.
In fact, I believe the Police Officer Bill of Rights now covers it, where, again, brief statement just to make sure you haven't committed some gross, negligent act. But it's...
And don't give you the time.
It's the next day.
Correct.
You're not required to sit down and give a written statement until the next day. It's not immediate. Kevin, I do have to ask you a legal question here, for a precedent question. My wife has tweeted. She has not called in, whereas your wife did call in and receives the Pandora charm. Since my wife tweeted, does she receive a Pandora charm, or does it have to be an actual phone call to meet the precedent?
It would have to be a phone call.
It does have to be the phone call. Okay, wonderful. It does have to be the phone call. That's what I thought.
She has to get out of the pool, dry herself off, pick up the phone, make the call.
Exactly. Okay, well, dear, you heard it. I mean, it came from the courtroom assassin. I didn't make this decision. It's legal counsel is advising me. We're going to go ahead and we're going to jump right back into this topic.
I do family law, too.
Yeah, we do family law. We do Pandora family law. We'll see you when we get back from the break.
And on a rifle when protecting life and liberty.
You're listening to Arms Room Radio. Call the Arms Room Radio hotline right now. 407-682-9595. 407-682-9595. Arms Room Radio is on the air. Welcome back to the show.
AM 660. The Answer.
Now, here's Mike.
All right, welcome back. We're here. Another one of our great sponsors is Leilu Landscaping. Listen, if you want your lawn to look like a lawn and not just some yard, you need to call Leilu Landscaping. It's Leaux Landscaping. Leaux Landscaping. Their phone number is 407-703-4393. 407-703-4393. Now, Earl, we're good friends with Cole, the owner out there.
Yes, we are.
Cole's a
He's a lot of sexy man.
He's a sexy man. That's a big man.
Yes,
That's a big sexy man right there.
Is.
You know what Cole doesn't have, though?
What?
Cole doesn't have a website.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
Let me tell you what we need. We need some website ideas for Cole. Website ideas for Cole. You tweet us your best website idea, or go on Facebook, give us your best website idea. Facebook.com/armsroom or at armsroomradio. Get us a good website name for Cole. Leilu Landscaping. I think that's a Cajun name. Might be a little bit of a help for you there. And he's a big, sexy man. Get us a good website name. Like Big Sexy Lawn Man, something like that. And we got a couple of free T-shirts for you. We'll take care of you during the week. Okay. We got one caller. Let's jump into the caller, Mike. Mike, you're on the air. What can we do for you today?
Hello?
Yes, sir. What can we do for you today?
Hey, I had a question. Is there a heavier penalty or a penalty at all for using a Class 3 weapon to defend yourself rather than a normal firearm?
Okay, excellent question. Kevin, if you use a Class 3 firearm, is there a difference in penalty?
There can be. Again, you have to justify the use of the firearm. I would never, ever recommend to someone that they use their full auto as a home defense weapon, ever. That is just inherently destructive. The way that's going to get presented to the jury is that you came at somebody with a machine gun. All right, now if you used an SBR, if you used
short barrel rifle
or a suppressed weapon.
Right.
A suppressed weapon may actually be more appropriate if you have to discharge it in your household, because now you haven't got the percussion to your hearing, so you can still talk to law enforcement and to the 911 operator, which you wouldn't be able to do if you've discharged a 9mm or a .45 caliber handgun in your home. Your ears are going to be ringing. You're not going to be able to hear what's going on.
Okay. So the quick answer is your machine gun, keep it in your safe for when you go to the range. Yep. Your SBR, perhaps your suppressed weapon, probably acceptable.
That's probably acceptable.
Okay. Let's go back to where we were before, Kevin.
All right. So we ask about what law enforcement does when their officers are involved in shooting. Alex, tell us what's going to happen from the law enforcement responding officer point of view.
Okay, and again, this is based on my training and experience from the years we went on the road and the calls we went for service that were similar to something like this. The thing you got to understand is the deputy or officer responding is getting whatever 911 has given him, which may not be much. That's why it's very important that you give them as much information as you can, especially about yourself, your house, details of what to look for, so that they know when they're on the scene, they know what they're getting. You got to understand also is that when they respond, they're responding to what the information they have, but they don't know you from Adam. And they don't know exactly what's going on. They're hoping that what's being told is the truth. Cops get lied to every now and then, believe it or not. So they get there and they get approached, and they get, obviously, officer safety is the biggest thing. They'll most likely surround your house. If there was a shooting, they'll probably surround your house where it's safe for them to approach. They most likely will get on a speaker or through 911. If you're still talking to 911, they may tell you the officer's outside, look through your window or look through your door, or look where you can see, and they're going to tell you to step out. And most likely, they're going to ask you to step out. Where should you have your firearm when that happens? Your firearm should not be placed or should not be in your hand. And again, take into consideration that obviously you want to stay safe or if the threat is still there, but you do not want to walk out with that handgun in your hand. If you have to conceal it, if you have to put it away, the best thing would be to put it away, let them know where it's at. When you walk out, they're probably going to ask you to come out with your hands up. Okay? They're probably going to have to stop and make you lift your shirt up and turn around if you have a shirt on. If you don't have a shirt, they're going to have you just turn around to make sure that you're not hiding a gun. So they're going to have you step out. Now, I see both sides of it. I understand that you're now the victim. You're going, why? I'm the victim. Yeah. But you have to understand that law enforcement doesn't see it that way. They understand, but they have to find out what's going on. Right. They're going to conduct an investigation. They have to get to what's going on, make sure it's safe, so that we can bring in the medical attention that you may need or that subject may need. So those are all things that have to play, have to happen. So, yes, you will be taken out outside. They will tell you that they probably will frisk you, and they probably will handcuff you. And that's what I want to make sure everybody understands. If they're going to arrest you, they're going to arrest you. Right. Expect it. Plan on that happening. Because if you plan on it happening and if it doesn't happen, great. But don't misperceive the fact that you may get taken into custody until such time as they at least cursorily figure out who's responsible for what. And understand that they're doing that. Don't take an attitude with them. They understand. You have to understand that they're doing a job to find out the safest way to find out the details, investigate what's going on. So I hear people saying, "Well, it's my right, and I defended my castle or what." That doesn't matter. You have to understand, follow the rules, and you won't have any issues. And you cannot get into that argument with a law enforcement officer. You'll never talk your way into convincing them to let you go back in the house and go to bed.
No, definitely not. Kevin, when you're on the phone with 911, one of our tweet questions, was I in fear for my life? Absolutely. If you weren't, you shouldn't have pulled that trigger. Okay. Correct. Okay.
While we're at it, Kevin, I also had another tweet come in from one of our followers at Two Dogs. What are your thoughts on self-defense insurance?
I think it's a great idea. But make sure that when you buy that policy, you know what you're getting. Because a lot of the prepaid legal programs like that, and I'm not bashing prepaid legal, but programs like that, they have great restrictions on what they will and won't defend. Well, our office affords people an opportunity to retain us and have us on call. You get our cell phone numbers, and you can call us When you get off the phone with 911, we respond to that shooting scene, and we are there with you while you undergo that first set of questions. The first person you should talk to about what happened that night is your attorney, not law enforcement, not your spouse, not your doctor. Nobody should talk to you first but your attorney, because it's not changing what it is you have to say, but it may be helping you find a better way to say it.
Your recollection, correct.
Alex, I've been in a deadly force encounter.
Yes.
I've been in a shooting at work. Who was the first person you talked to?
First person.
As a law enforcement. What's your agency policy? What do they say?
We spoke to our supervisor.
Okay.
Or the supervisor on the scene.
Sure, obviously
First
supervisor radio call, right. And then my first call was lawyer, and lawyer was there before we talked to anybody.
As a matter of fact, I got a call from a law enforcement officer I represent.
Right.
When I told him what the topic today's show was going to be, and he laughed. He goes, "No, I'm calling you first."
Yep, exactly right. Exactly right. Okay, folks, we're going to carry this topic over into next week. It was definitely a good topic. It was a wonderful show. We're going to do it again next week. We're going to take one more call from Tiffany. Tiffany, what can we do for you today?
Just got a quick question. Do you think I look worse in front of a jury using a different kind of round, like a black Talon round or a killer type round in my gun instead of like a full metal jacket?
A full metal jacket round this is kind of a weird one. We'll have to cover this next week. A full metal jacket round and the black Talon round, now the Ranger Talon round, are designed for different things, unless you're in military or civilian. But I promise you, Tiffany, we'll get to it next week.
I would appreciate that.
No problem. At this point in the show, I do want to get to our fallen hero. This is something we're going to be doing every week here. This week's fallen hero that we're honoring is Nathan B. Nate Brukenthal. He was a damage controlman, 3rd class, United States Coast Guard. He was the first Coast Guardsman to die in wartime action since the Vietnam War. On April 24th, 2004, Brukenthal and 2 U.S. Navy sailors were killed while intercepting waterborne suicide attack at one of the oil terminals off the coast of Iraq in the northern Persian Gulf. An account of the attack was included in the issue of the U.S. Coast Guard Reservist magazine, stated, in the early evening hours, April 24th, approached an oil terminal in the Persian Gulf. He's trained as both a boarding team member and a boarding officer, and he was accompanied by one other Coast Guardsman and 5 other sailors from the Navy. As they approached the vessel, it was detonated and killed him and 2 other sailors from the U.S. Navy. Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, you've heard that name, claimed responsibility for the attack. He survived by his wife and his daughter, who was born after his death. I mean, that's rough. He received posthumously the Bronze Star with Valor and the Purple Heart and was laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery. Thanks for a good week. Don't forget to catch Mark Walters tomorrow night from 8 to 11 p.m. here on AM 660. That's Mark Walters with Armed American Radio. Rays baseball tonight at 8 o'clock. Watch your 10 and 13 Rays take on the 12 and 12 White Sox. We're only 3 games out. I know we're in last place, but we're only 3 games out. And don't forget next week's topic. We're going to be talking all over again. Alex will be back with us. Kevin will be back with us. Everybody's here.
AM 660, The Answer. WORL, Altamont Springs, Orlando. A service of Salem Communications. Intelligent, conservative. AM 660.